position in most of those offensive rebounds.
Well, I think one of the things this team has done better is fixing things when things go bad. Like somebody makes a mistake, somebody gets blown by. We blow a front in the post. Help is rotating, and then we're putting out the fire and we're getting back and trying to put our defense back together. And an offensive rebound is much the same. And some of those offensive rebounds where Watson, he lowers that boom and lowers that shoulder and really knocks you out of position. He's such a good offensive rebounder on shots that he misses. And, we had some that were blown coverages, blown assignments as well. And those are the ones we can control that we have to fix. But what I really felt like is our guys didn't quit, and we gave up an offensive rebound. Let's stay in the fight. Let's continue to battle and see if we can't end this possession in a better way. And then, we got 16 second chance points ourselves. So as long as we can keep that somewhere close in the same hemisphere, given the build of our team against a team that's as big and long as Providence, especially when you took out Bynum and threw in Gant. You trade 5'10" for 6'8", and all of a sudden they've got length across the board. And now, Wednesday we're going to play, one of the biggest teams in the country.
John Fanta?
Matt, good to see you. I'm curious, speaking of that Seton Hall team, just what is it like going up against Kevin Willard? And I know that this matchup has delivered quite the games in the past. Just if you could reflect on what it's like facing them.
The first thing we're going to talk about is you beat our JV team yesterday to get yourselves into the playoffs. So so enjoy it while it lasts, John. Go ahead and enjoy it. But it's, you might want to enjoy the 6 days this week because it's over. The Steelers will be fine next Sunday night, and you'll be back to like you usually are come playoff time. But, see.
Am I going to get a chance to respond to that?
No, you get one question. That's it. But what was your question again? Oh, it was about Willard and Seton Hall. Yeah, it's been great games. He's, Kevin's done a terrific job. And, this team, to me, they play so well together. They move the basketball so well. And, last year, I think you got caught at times probably as his teammate standing and watching Miles Powell do what Miles Powell could do. And as an opposing coach, you stand and watch too, because it was he was electric with what he could do. But this year the basketball moves so well, and I think Reynolds certainly does a terrific job of getting the ball to the right spots, and Mamu's playing at an incredibly high level, and I think Roden's one of the most improved players in the league, and I haven't even mentioned Miles Cale yet. So really, really good basketball team, and Kevin has done a great job, especially kind of digging them out of that early hole. They were shut down for a long time, and he went into a very difficult schedule right away. But they're playing as good as anybody in the country right now.
John Niatala?
Thanks, Matt.
What's that hat? Is that from 1918, the last time they were in the playoffs, or where's that from?
Good stuff. It was a while ago, obviously, last time we played Seton Hall, Greg, but that game was so intense, and there's so much on the line, and so many players returned. Like, I gotta imagine that the emotion, the intensity is going to be there again on Wednesday. It's an important game this year too. How will you address that facet of it with the team, or do you even need to with a veteran group?
Well, I hope I don't need to. I mean, they're 5-1, we're 4-1, and we're attempting to stay on top of this league and keep ourselves within a swing of the top. So it's a very important game in that regard. Obviously, as you mentioned, there's a lot of returning players from both teams, and they lost that game last year, and I'm sure it's etched in their minds the celebration that ensued after we won that game, which would have happened had the same thing happen on their court. So I don't think there's any hard feelings that way, but as a competitor, that's going to stick in the back of your mind. So hopefully the 16 or 1700 fans we have in attendance will be able to try to capture some of what we had in that building last year, because that was pretty incredible.
Tom Chatell?
Hey, man, leave me alone. I'm just a Chargers fan.
Yeah, you got your own set of issues.
That's not a problem. Exactly. I'm curious about the team's approach this year in the Big East, and obviously it's it's hard to repeat in a great league like this. Have other teams changed their approach to you? How is your team handling? I mean, is there any added weight to the expectations of local league?
Well, I don't think there's any question we're getting everybody's best shot. We've been, a top 15 team really the entire season. So from that standpoint alone, you're going to get everybody's best shot. Secondly, we have the preseason Big East Player of the Year in Marcus, so that adds fuel to the fire of opposing guards. You always want to play against who everybody else thinks is one of the best. So Marcus is seeing everybody's best shot. So, I think that's probably what has transpired to this point is, we're going to get everybody's best shot, and teams aren't quitting. And it's a good league, but I think this year, unlike any other, you really take things one day at a time because it's coach speak to get better today and do all that. But this year, if you don't take care of today off the floor and make good decisions, there may not be a tomorrow. So you may not get to play this week. So we've taken just a one day at a time approach. Let's do what we have to do to get on the practice floor. Let's try to get better and get ready for the next game and hope that us and our opponent are available to play. And knock on wood, we've been pretty fortunate since Thanksgiving that we haven't been interrupted.
Andy Kendi.
Hey, Matt, good to see you. Hey, does anything ever surprise you with Mitch's range? He's making a habit of shooting from the logo. Now, he's playing for Providence. Logo was a little bigger, but he's still hitting from pretty far out in that half-court style too.
No, because he practices those shots, and and he's one of those guys that's got a unique ability to make them, and you don't want guys necessarily shooting that shot if it's not within the flow of your offense, or it's not a shot that they practice. And I would venture to guess that Mitch practices those kind of shots. Maybe not the last one right before halftime that was a step inside half court, but he's out there 8-10 feet behind that line shooting a lot of 3-point shots, and he's got incredible range, and that does a lot for our offense. It doesn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet because of the fact that you have to press out and guard him at that distance. But his shooting is such a small part of what he brings to the table for us. He's incredible teammate, moves the basketball, unbelievable locker room guy, and the list goes on and on.
John Bishop.
Mac, you talked a little bit earlier about Seton Hall and how they're a little different offensively. Defensively, they're so big, but they also lost one of the best on-ball defenders in McKnight. So how have they changed defensively?
Yeah, they're almost two different teams. When Big Ike is in the game, obviously he's one of the elite shot blockers in the country, and kind of sits back in that drop coverage and controls everything in the paint. And then when they come with Samuels, Tyrese Samuel, they're going to switch everything and try to press out a little bit more. But they're always keeping you guessing with some full court pressure, dropping back, some zone, sometimes some man, sometimes switching a lot, sometimes staying with things. So they're just they really try to keep you off balance offensively, which is going to be why our pace is going to be so important. And to play with pace, you got to get stops first, and you got to get rebounds first. And they're a team. Their wings really come hard to the offensive glass. Mamu rebounds a lot of his own misses. He's in there tight. He's big and physical and strong, quick off the floor. So if we can get stops and we can get out in transition, we can beat that defense down the floor.
Eric Olson.
Hey, Mac, you've probably been asked about this before, but the way coaches are kind of dressing down during the pandemic, like more casual attire, and do you think that'll last beyond the pandemic now that coaches have started to do that?
It's going to last for one of us. That would be me. I think it makes way more sense. We're moving a lot. We're bending down. We're in the huddle. Bankers don't wear suits anymore. Everything has changed. And as I look around the room today, you guys aren't exactly dressed great for a high level press conference like this. So, especially you, Fanta, with that thing on. But I think it's the way it should be anyway, and I don't think I'll ever go back to wearing suits.
John Niatala.
I comb my hair 8 ways, right? Look at that. About
Yeah.
it. What is the biggest improvement you see from Mitch defensively? Because it does seem like he's upped his game there, and I just wonder what areas you've been maybe impressed or noticed from him defensively.
Yeah, I think he's better on the ball. He's always been a good off-ball defender, especially if you put him in help situations and kind of reading things and make the right read, keep the ball out of here, and get back to a guy. He's pretty good at that. And then he's really grown in his ability, if he's caught in a situation with a guy coming to the rim, to be able to provide that vertical wall where he leaves his feet and meets a guy at the rim and makes those tough. He did it a couple times at UConn in the critical stages of that game, and he's done it several times throughout the year. So I just think he's made strides across the board defensively, as have a lot of our guys, which is why our numbers are so much better than they've been in the past.
All right, 2 final questions. We'll start with Tom Chatell, and when he's done, we'll go to John Bishop.
And Mac, I want to ask you about the Big East championship rings. As something I guess ordinarily you probably give out your home game in front of a sellout crowd. What went into that this year? And you just talk about your thinking about when you gave them out. I saw you gave them out in like a team meeting or a team room or something.
Yeah, I think we gave them out after the Xavier game right before Christmas, so it was kind of almost like a Christmas present. It's been, as I've said, Tom, it's been a grind for these guys since the middle of August. Many of them hadn't been home and spent any time with their families. So just kind of a nice send off as they were leaving campus to take that home with them and share that with their family, and brings back a lot of pretty good memories of what transpired last year. Because as we've talked before, we didn't ever have an opportunity to celebrate last season. No banquets, no coming back, walking around campus with Big East Championship T-shirts or caps on. None of that happened. So, to kind of reflect and go back and be able to celebrate, what they accomplished last year was pretty cool for them.
Go ahead, John Bishop.
Mac, it appears like it's official now that the tournament will be moved to the Indianapolis metro area. Just wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think I haven't put a lot of thought into it. I guess I think it's probably the right thing given the climate in our country right now. Is if we're going to be able to do it, it's got to be done safely, and the more you can limit travel, the better. And to do it in the middle of the country, I think makes it a little bit easier for everybody. And I think there's such a good relationship with the city of Indianapolis and the NCAA that it can be pulled off. And you want to be there and you want to be part of it. And it's going to be an historic event. Nothing like this has ever taken place before, and we're hopeful that it won't ever take place again under these circumstances. So, to be part of it, we want to continue to play well so that we're firmly entrenched in that, and hopefully can spend better part of a month in Indianapolis.
All right, that'll do it for today's availability. Thank you.
Hey Mac, Big Ben's reign ends Sunday. Okay?
Well,
It's over.
yeah,
It's over, man.
He's
this reign ends on Sunday.
he's well rested. That might be the ugliest outfit I've ever seen, John. I mean,
broken.
we had our JV team and we were a 2-point conversion away from beating you.
You know the NFL. A win's a win. Doesn't matter how much it comes by.
Good about winning versus still trying to get better.
Yeah, that's definitely a good question, Matthew. But I think it is, like you said, you just got to get the W. Obviously, we weren't solid by any means down the stretch. We had some bad turnovers, bad fouls, 94 feet from the rim. Obviously, we have to eliminate those things and just be solid down the stretch. But like you said, I mean, getting a win in conference play is huge, and getting a win on the road in conference play is even bigger. So you kind of have to take it with a grain of salt and move into prep for next week and kind of figure those things out as you go, and hopefully be more solid down the stretch.
Next, we'll go to Andy Kendi.
And do you realize when you're on the logo when you shoot, and you get a kick out of that, knowing that you can hit from maybe basically to this past 50 foot?
No, I don't really notice it. we were at shoot around the night before, just kind of messing around, and I was actually talking to Coach Wrench, and Wrench was saying it doesn't take much to shoot from the logo in this gym, just because the back of the Providence hat, it was like barely a foot past the 3-point line. So I was like, man, I might be shooting a lot of logo threes. But then it ended up where I was a couple feet back from that. So I don't really think about it. I don't really realize it. I just kind of have I don't know. I kind of, like you said, have the ability to throw it up there and kind of hope for the best. And it is what it is. Sometimes they go, sometimes they don't. So that's kind of how I feel, and that's what I do when I shoot.
Do you get a kick out of film study, or do your teammates get a chuckle when they see hoisting it up from however far you are, 35, 40 feet, whatever you are?
Yeah, definitely. My teammates definitely get a kick out of it. They just kind of say some things like that was kind of ridiculous. The one I hit before halftime, that was even further out of my range. Those ones you kind of, I mean, you just kind of got to shake your head at those ones. The ones prior to that, that's my range, and that's I feel comfortable letting it go from there. But when that one before halftime was, even I would say that's ridiculous. But my teammates definitely get a kick out of it in some film sessions. But it happens. Sometimes you make them, sometimes you don't. You just move on and keep shooting them whenever you get a good look.
Next, we'll go to Tom Chatell.
Hey, Mitch, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, sir. Yeah, I was wondering, you guys got your Big East rings. The banner's been raised, and now everybody in the Big East. Are they playing you guys any differently? Is it any harder this year after you've won it to try to do it again? It's really natural. I just wonder what kind of vibes out there right now.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult to win, first off, and I mean to repeat, it's even more difficult. You see that at every level of in every sport. It's tough to repeat, and it's tough to kind of stay on top, because when you get there and when you start sensing a little bit of success, then you start to have that target on your back, and you just kind of you have to be better, and you're going to get every team's best shot. I mean, Villanova's been getting every team's best shot since they joined the league, and they do a phenomenal job of just answering and doing what they do. So when you taste that a little bit of success, you gotta sharpen up in the everyday approach and just keep going forward. Last year, I mean, it wasn't any different. Winning in this league is very difficult. Whether you're at the top of the league or at the bottom of the league, it's unbelievably difficult, especially on the road. So you kind of just have to approach each game as one at a time, and you can't look past anybody, because once you start doing that, you start losing games that are winnable. So it's a grind, and you just have to stay focused and stay locked in each and every game prep.
John Bishop. Oh.
How did all that happen?
The Big East ring was really cool. I just remember I think CB loved it a lot. I think there was a video that was circulating around when he opened his. He had great excitement, and it definitely showed. First game coming back off break, that last play was unbelievable, and I think he was just getting off the high of getting the ring. So that was pretty cool. It was really cool just to be a part of something like that. But now, when you taste that, like I kind of referred to earlier, you just kind of want more of it. So obviously we want to win outright, and we want to take care of business every game, so we can feel that feeling again.
John Bishop.
Two questions for you, Mitch. Number one, kind of going back to something Matt mentioned. Is there too much being made of the style in which we're winning instead of, worrying about, whether or not Creighton scores 80, 85 points? And then the second question is there a little bit of jealousy that Christian gets all the love for dunking, knowing how much you love to dunk, and it took all the highlight away from your 40-foot end of half three?
Can you repeat the first part of that question?
First part was just, is there too much sometimes being made
by
observers about the style in which Creighton is winning versus, how you usually win by scoring 80 points?
Yeah, that's a good question. In my opinion, and for everybody else, I think you just got to get the win. At the end of the day, get the win, move on, and look at film and see where you can improve in areas where we struggled. Obviously, we've struggled down the stretch a couple of times, but it doesn't show in the win-loss column, which is good for us. We're dodging some bullets, and we have to fix those things up, clean them up, so we can move on to the next game and hopefully put away teams the way we're supposed to and the way we have in the past. So don't really take much of it. We don't really take much of it. All we care about is the W or the L in the win-loss column. So that's kind of what it is. And at the end of the day, I could shoot over 11, but as long as we get the win and Christian does that, I'm good. I'm cool with that. I could shoot 11 for 11 and take a loss, and we're not happy about that. So honestly, the way I play and the way I kind of look at the media and all that, I don't really want the attention. I'm good with CB doing that and doing his thing. That was big time. But a huge shout out to Marcus, just being patient, staying patient, and reading the floor and opening up a pitch back driving lane for CB for a dunk down the lane. So it was fun. It was really exciting and enjoyable, and it was good for him. So we're all happy.
John Fanta?
It's a grind. It's been a grind since I've been here. I remember my freshman year on the road. We lost a tough one where it was winnable. Every game is like that. It's a lot like Providence. Different game, different style. We play kind of up and down. I remember last year they slowed it down at our place just because running with us. I mean, you kind of got to pick your poison. So hopefully we can dictate the pace and the tempo of the game. But Creighton Seton Hall games are really fun, and you never know what you're going to get. It's going to come down to the wire, and both teams are going to play well, and both teams are well coached. So it's really fun to be a part of, and hopefully we can be on top.
John Niatawa?
Yeah. To be completely honest with you, I've watched about half the Providence game. We had a day off and I took it, so I didn't. I did. I just stepped away from basketball a little bit just to refocus and kind of revamp myself. So I haven't got through the film. We'll obviously watch stuff with the coaches and the whole team later and get a better idea of kind of what we need to do. And Mac always puts us in the best situations to be in the best situation for us going forward. We'll talk about it. We'll work on it in practice, and then we'll be better Wednesday with things that we messed up on and kind of made mistakes in areas that we shouldn't. So like I said earlier, you just kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. We won the game, so that's good. That's a positive, and you just got to look forward to improving and getting better in the areas that we need to improve in. So I think that's our approach, and that's kind of what we'll get from film today.
All right, we'll go to Matt DeMarinis.
Nah, we don't need to go to him.
Fair enough. If you'll oblige me one. When you guys, I think Max talked about before coming out of the break about the pace and kind of how that you guys didn't really have an opportunity to kind of get that going to your liking because there wasn't enough days that you guys could focus on it yourselves. When you're watching these games back and seeing what teams are doing to kind of take you guys out of your rhythm or slow you down, how much of that is controllable by you guys and how much of it is dictated by the opponent? Kind of something you have to count on.
I think a lot of it is self-inflicted. Like you said before, and like what Coach Mack was talking about before Christmas, you could definitely tell our pace wasn't where it was and where it needed to be. And when our pace isn't there, our offense isn't there. And then it just it's a domino effect, because all of our offense and our motion is dictated on pace. And when you don't have pace and change the speeds, it's difficult to get good looks like we normally do. So the break was good for us. Just kind of rest our legs and kind of come back rejuvenated and have that juice. I think we were a little better at Providence. But it starts on the defensive end, honestly. Like sometimes we do it to ourselves. When we give up a lot of offensive rebounds, it's tough for us to get out in transition and wear teams down. And that's where we're at our best, when we're in transition and running and just wearing into teams, and they have to throw several different players into the rotation just to kind of keep up and keep their guys fresh. So when your stamina and your durability is at a high level and we're playing with that pace, it poses a lot of matchups that are difficult to guard for defenses. And that comes with our defense. We just got to get stops and we got to get rebounds so we can get out in transition and play the way that we want to play. And then when we're in the quarter court, we just have to have quicker cuts and and cut with a purpose. And before we were cutting to kind of for us to score. And when you're cutting with that mentality, it takes away from what the overall goal of the offense. So I think when we're cutting for a purpose and for others, then everything starts to open up. And I think we saw that at Providence a little bit more.
John Niatala?
Got a random question for you, Mitch.
Yep, like it.
What's it like going fishing with Tall Les?
It's crazy. If you think that dude is crazy on defense, that dude might be more locked in with the fish. It's crazy. He knows what he's doing. I just love, I like the energy he brings to fishing. He knows where to throw it, kind of how to reel it, and he'll put you on fish. Like he'll find something with one lure and then tie it on your pole, and then you catch something on the lure. It's crazy. He's probably he's like the Stockton of the Malone matchup in fishing. He's the Stockton. He's just setting you up and he's getting those assists for you to catch fish. So it's fun. It's a good time. It was really cool during the quarantine just to kind of get away, get out in nature, and just kind of have fun. So he's really good. He's fun, and he brings that same energy and approach to the defensive end.
All right, we'll do one final question with John Bishop.
All right, I got to follow up on this because my grandpa used to take me fishing, and I don't remember energy being a big, advantage in fishing. So, I mean,
it's huge.
Energy and fishing, does that work together?
It just depends where we're at, but it does, honestly. Like when you're out fishing, and I mean, you know how it is. It can get boring, especially when you're not catching any fish. But when you have a guy like P. Les, he's always locked in. He's always determined. It's like a shooter. I'm gonna bring it back to a shooter. Like if you miss one, then it's like sometimes you might break your hook, or you might not set the hook, and you don't catch the fish, and you just gotta think about the next one, And P. Les brings that energy and that attitude into the ponds, into the lakes, and it's fun. It you feed off of it, It wears off onto you, and you feed off of it. And then Marcus and me are turned up trying to catch some fish, so it's fun. It's a good time.
All right, that'll do it for Mitch. We'll have Coach McDermott here in a minute or two.
Appreciate you guys.